Hi, this is Dr. Nikki, and so I want to talk about the running record that I just did with Miss Chloe. It was the multiplication running record, and as we were going through, she had the first ones right. You know, she was automatic with 0 times 4, 1 times 2, 5 times 3, 10 times 7, 2 times 6, and then we got to 3 times 9, and that's kind of where she got stuck. Now, the thing that we notice is that Chloe knows all the strategies. I mean, she's the strategy queen. She's got every strategy in the book. Every strategy that we teach, she knows. But she's having trouble translating those strategies to automaticity, right? And so it's really kind of getting her stuck. Even though she's using a strategy level of 3, she's going super slow, and there's lots of prolonged thinking time when it comes to kind of implementing those strategies. So at 3 times 9 is where she got stuck. She said, come back. And we came back, and then she got it. And then there was some inaccuracies. So 4 times 8, she said 34. So I would code that as prolonged thinking time because it took a long time. And then a did not know, right? And then 6 times 7, she passed. But when we came back, she was able to get it. And so I put did not know because she passed it. But then she came back. So then I would cross that out. And I would put, that it was prolonged thinking time. But there was accuracy. And then 7 times 8 was 56. 4 times 4 was 16. 4 times 4 was automatic. Interesting. She knows all of her square numbers. Or her square number facts. 8 times 5, 40. And then 9 times 6, 54. So she had pretty much, she was right on target with accuracy, but it was the retrieval. It was extremely slow. And so when I asked her what strategy she was using, which is part 2, she knew multiplication by 0, multiplication by 1, multiplication by 2, 10. She knows those strategies. Multiplication by 5. She knows those strategies. But she is using finger counting on, which is a level 1. But she has some of them at an automatic level. But others she has to finger count on by level 1 strategy. Now remember that the research says that kids will use different strategy levels for different facts. And that we see that here. Right, she's at a level 4 for some of the stuff, and then she gets to multiplying by 5, and she goes to a level 1 finger counting on. Multiplying by 2, she knows. Multiplying by 4, she is using, a level 3 strategy, which is to use a derived fact. So she knows to think her 2s. But it's taking her a long time to double those numbers. So that's really, where I would start with her. I would start with doubling with knowing her 5s. She's got to get her 5s down. That would be my point of intervention. And then I would go on and really get her automatic with her 4s. Because she knows the strategy, but she's still kind of stuck. She needs practice on automaticity, right? Really just kind of quick retrieval of those facts. She conceptually understands everything she's doing. She can explain it, and it makes sense. It makes sense to me. It makes sense to her. She knows what she's doing. But she needs a lot of practice, and I think really games is what's going to help her here to get those that automatic retrieval. Card games, board games, things where she has to think quickly and retrieve those facts quickly, and then multiplying by 8. But I wouldn't even be working on multiplying by 8 until she really got her 4s down. Remember that it is a hierarchy, right? There's levels, so I would give her first her 5s. And then I would give her her 4s, right? Telling her to refer to her 2s and then really practicing how do you really double your 2 facts. And then when she knows her 4s, then I would go to her 8s because it's double and then double, double. And so she's using these level 3 strategies, right? Which is to use derived facts. I would say she operates at a level 3 strategy, but she has... she's going extremely slow. It's almost as if the strategies are slowing her down a little bit. And I don't want to say that because, the strategies show that she has conceptual understanding, but she's really got to come up with that automatic retrieval, working on a quicker retrieval of those facts. So the same with her 3s. I wouldn't go to 3s until she got her 5s and then her 4s and then her 8s. Then we'd go to 3s. And she's using her 2s for her 3s. We got to get her to know her 3s like that, and then you go to your 6s. Now, when she got to her sixes, she used the right strategy, but she had an inaccurate count. She did 2 times 9 is 18, and then she added 9. But instead of getting 27, she got 26, which threw her doubling off and it made it 52. So she used the right strategy, but she had an inaccurate calculation, which threw the answer off. Multiplying by 9s, doubles, she knew that. Multiplying by 7s, again, she's using kind of derived facts. And then multiplying her doubles, she knows all of her doubles of the square numbers. So with her, where I would start, what do you do when you get the data? That's always the question. Start her with her 5s, because kids need to know 0, 1, 5, 10. The other thing about her 5s, I know a lot of kids get kind of tethered to the skip counting on their fingers by 5s, but really thinking relationally, they know their 10s, so they just have to have them. Now, having is hard for kids, but if they know their 10s and they have them, then they know their 5s. If they know their 2s, and they know their 4s, right, to get them to double. So that's where I would start with her. If I was going to make a plan of action for her, the first thing would be to study her 5s. The next thing would be to really get to automaticity with her 4s, and then her 8s, and then so on. Now, when she talked about math and said it's okay, I'm not too interested, but I like the lattice method, that was interesting to me because, you know, she really, you got to get that automaticity. The lattice method isn't actually one of my favorite methods. I like some other things besides lattice, but so that was interesting that she said that though. And she knew what facts were easy for her. So she's got a lot of kind of self-awareness around her trajectory because she's able to name the facts that are easy. She's able to name the facts that are tricky. She knows to do what to do when she gets stuck. She knows all the strategies. She said the only tricky part about strategies is 7s. And one of the ways to help her with her 7s is after she learns all her facts to really get her to decompose that 7 and then to use those derived facts, which she's already using that strategy for all the other facts. So that is where I would go with Miss Chloe. That is an example of a multiplication running record. Thank you for joining me today, and as always, happy mathing.